Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS 82 apostrophe, with a bit of an introduction to something new. Man, for those of you who followed me with Space 1999 to its completion, 2 seasons, thank you so much. For those of you who just are turning in to what I'm about to begin, thank you very much as well. But no, too, if you haven't seen any of them, I do have this entire 2-year span up on YouTube, my channel, and that was a fun ride. But now we turn our attention to something a little different, something a little bit more intimately tied with me in my life growing up. Just picked up this bad boy not that long ago. It seemed to be the most economical way to go about it, actually. Although the great criticism of this release is pulling the sticking DVD or Blu-rays out. But you know what? I'll deal with that for the price. So, X-Files. Let me just begin with a quick overview of this show. And sorry, I can't memorize everything in the world, but I do have some things here written down. Initially, the pilot episode, season 1, the pilot drops September 10th, 1993. By the end of season 5, which if you can break apart this show, you really can break it apart in a few places. With the season finale for season 5, The End, which I hold near and dear as one of my most favorite episodes of the entire thing, leads into its first major break, and that is the release of the X-Files film Fight the Future, which I saw in the movie theater, and that released, well, The End dropped May 17th, 1998. So from 93 to 98, the first 5 seasons. In June of 98, we have the film, the first film that will bridge seasons 5 and season 6. The first one to drop for season 6, of course, is The Beginning. That drops on November 8th, it looks like, 1998. That will come to its conclusion, or at least the next break, in 02, May 19th, with season 9 finale, The Truth. That then just give about 6 years, we'll see the release of the X-Files second film, I Want to Believe, in 08. That will ultimately give rise to both seasons 10 and 11, I think the series, the event, or whatever that was referred to as. My Struggle will drop January 24th, 16, and will conclude the X-Files, in a manner of speaking, with My Struggle 4, March 21st, 18. So, you know, between really 93 and 18, you have quite a run. I was 23 years old when the X-Files first dropped on TV. I was entering my last year of the Army. I had a lot of stuff going on. I was going ultimately to Fort Hood, Texas for my last little segment, I guess, if you will, of my military. Newly married, with a daughter. And the X-Files, man, seemed to drop in really a perfect time, because I was really struggling. The last thing here, the last episode of My Struggle, well, that last year and a half or so was really a struggle for me, just trying to see my way to the end of my time in the military for varying reasons. They were fine and they were good, and I'm glad I did it. But I was also glad for that day, when that day came when I laughed and moved on. Some of you will know what I mean, because you experienced similar moments in your life. But the X-Files dropped at a time when I wasn't collecting. I had my childhood memories of growing up renting VHS tapes, horror, but, you know, I did the 4 years in the Army from 90 to 93 or 94, and so the X-Files, between the point of my childhood in terms of my love affair with horror films and such, science fiction, horror, the X-Files seemed to bridge for me, I guess. A time when really I didn't have the wherewithal or the means to even think about collecting or building a collection, to the point where I did. And it bridged an important part of my life that really spans from 23 to 48, really, if you count episodes 10 and 11, which I will cover. In fact, my plan is this: begin with pilot, work my way through the first 5 seasons, maybe take a break, but review Fight the Future, and then dive into season 6, come out of season 9, take a break, review I Want to Believe, and then dive back in for the last 2 seasons, and then wrap up thoughts. I figure, conservatively speaking, it'll probably take, the better of 5 years of my life, probably. But it is a beginning point. It is a beginning point of, a whole lot of neat memories. I mean, I remember going to we lived in New England at the time, and went to, we used to have to go to Lowell, Massachusetts, if you wanted to go to a decent theater, to see, and I've been in a number of those instances where I've always had to drive a ways to get a decent theater. Going to see Fight the Future was so awesome, because, the first 5 seasons were so insane, so much fun. And then you get into 6, 7, and 8. I mean, but I don't know. We'll kind of feel our way in terms of what were the best years of this. But seeing the film and just seeing, and I had my own criticisms of it at the time. I absolutely loved it, but at the same time, it's sort of, I think maybe if I remember right, my thought was, why are we making a film for everyone, including those who have not followed? But I understand why now, looking back. You do it to draw in new members. You do it to draw in, to broaden your audience, to bring people in, who might not have been there for the full ride. And balancing a lot of different things. I thought, looking back, I don't know if they could have done a better job on the X-Files Fight the Future. I Want to Believe has grown on me with years. I absolutely am finding myself loving that movie more and more and more. This ultimately ran, 9 to 11 seasons, but really Chris Carter's heart was, maybe a few seasons, and then move this from the TV screen to the theatrical screen. And that's where I think the X-Files properly belonged, but never got to see itself. And I think Fight the Future proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt. You don't need to look any further than watch a few TV shows and then watch that movie, and the transformation from Mulder and Scully from the TV screen to the cinema screen, it begged one question: why now? Why haven't we seen this earlier? And that could have been an absolutely, talk about your monster of the week idea run amok across a multiple span of years. This could have been the great franchise in terms of cinema going. That wasn't to be for whatever reason. It had to live out most of its existence on our television sets. But it also streaming and really the death of old regular cable TV. The X-Files sort of took us to, really to the end of that. Back in the day when, I'll say this, the X-Files is one of the shows, it's one of the only shows that I remember catching in its pilot and then really running with it in its entirety. It's one of those shows that is so, I think I said this in my intro below. For me, Space 1999 was a rediscovery of a lost little piece of my childhood, going back to when I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old. But the X-Files, man, I'm 23 when that first explodes. And there was nothing like it, man. To see something that you loved inherently, week to week to week, it gave you something to look forward to. And I absolutely fell in love with all the principal characters. And here's the thing: I don't know if some of you may not know that Mitch Pileggi was also the antagonist of Wes Craven's film Shocker, Horace Pinker, right? It's just awesome, man. But you get Mitch Pileggi in there as Skinner, and of course Mulder and Scully, and that relationship as it grows over the span of years. Literally, you get to see characters evolve over years. some of them, the lone gunman and that whole evolution of those characters and what they brought to the series overall. And then, of course, your whole slew of guests. What am I looking forward to here with doing this, with this investment, with taking the time to do this? Well, here's an interesting little tidbit that'll probably resurface with my with Pilot. The cinematographer on that was also the guy who shot Motel Hell. And so there's going to be a lot of nuggets like that all the way through. Guest appearances, Brad Dourif's one of my favorites, man. Bruce Campbell, I'm not going to waste time going all through my memory bank here, but just the idea of revisiting those great guest appearances, the mythology that is born and then spans years, and of course all the offshoots. You think about Millennium and just the opportunity to create for yourself sequels within your show run. I'm thinking of Squeeze and then Tombs, and then there's a few like that. How they strung together the mythology and just and for some, there's reasons for some of that, right? Whether it was what's her name? Dana Scully's character being pregnant in real life and then having to rewrite some things to work around that. And just, it's going to be neat to kind of relive all of this, but in a much more pointed way, I guess. And not a critical, I won't say that. It won't be, because I love this series too much to go back and just start being overly critical of something that I've always loved, and I don't know if I could anyways. But it is going to be fun. It is going to be fun. I've already sort of begun the process of tearing into this. There is a great documentary on here, Implanted Memories, 25 Years of the X-Files. I've watched, I've also noticed there's a little bit of a look back at the seasons towards the end of at the end of the seasons. You'll get a bit of a look back in terms of short docs. Nothing quite extravagant as I wish were there, but it'll be helpful nonetheless to go back and to kind of rethink about seasons in their totality and the storylines in their totality, their coherency, and maybe do get into some of the more problematic. The truth isn't the greatest closure for a series. It's fine. We'll get there when we get there, but I'm showing this is a day and age when season finales really meant something. Like, man, when the closing minutes came to that point of say the end, right? Season 5 finale, the end. That lasting embrace of Mulder and Scully in a burned out office. And of course that sort of is really a closing statement on their work in Vancouver, because they're about to move to LA and a whole new era of X-Files is going to begin, right? Moving through the film and then into season 6, with, I think the first one was beginning. And so, and then just looking at all of the, the Monster of the Week episodes, the alien mythos that will be born out of this, and the characters and all of the just everything that comes with the X-Files. It's going to be an amazing experience to run through. And so I hope that you will go with me, that you will join me, that you will even watch with me, revisit these with me. I know a few that have already bought box sets. It's crazy to me, but that's good accountability for me, because that means I have no choice, man. I'm in for the long haul, man. You may not be, but I'm in the long haul. Once I begin this, I have to ride it through, short of death itself, and let's hope that don't happen. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun ride, to say the least. So, the truth is out there, and we will begin searching for it very soon. Like Space, episodes will drop on Wednesdays. I'm just gonna kind of keep the regular schedule I've already kept. It's just great for me. Just know that when you see this drop on Wednesday, Although this may drop on Sunday. I don't know. I generally do my reviews on Sunday and schedule them to drop on Wednesday unless it's something weird, just a thought video. I may drop this one early. I don't know. But my regular day will be Wednesday. And so if this happens to drop today, being it's Sunday and you're watching this, just know that skip this coming Wednesday, if that's what I do. And then the next following Wednesday will be pilot. And it'll be our first official episode. So we'll send it there. And I did have a bit of a write-up down below and some links to some of the channels and stuff, my channel or whatever. I don't know. We always end these things off with Go Bills. This is